Sorry, I didn't see how late I was. Okay. Hi, Annie B. So I hope you guys had a good day. I got some stuff done today and did some painting, but I felt a little bit, I don't know, a little bit down. And that's due to some of the stuff I talked about with grief, right? Right. So I just plan to do a baking. I plan to be more active in this Zoom Christmas party, but I couldn't do it. Wasn't there, and I know I'm going to kick myself tomorrow because I've got to do Luke's ice cream cake and get some stuff done. But had a quite an event today. Ethan came home, didn't feel well, and he tested positive for COVID. So that was just like the icing on the cake. Like, are you kidding? You know? So, that kind of gets that monkey to throw a wrench in any plans. That's why I'm not a planner. Hate it. And this is what I think it's the last Christmas was okay, but the Christmas before that, I had COVID. Let me see. Yep. Yes, I had it then. And then it was, I think we had 2 Easters. And then now Christmas. Yay. Okay, so just craziness. It's kind of depressing because this thing is like, he's got 102 fever. Luke and Jimmy had it in October, was it? And Ethan had it in April, early April. That was our Easter. That was crazy. Yeah, my daughter couldn't come home then. So, good times. Anyway, I hope I don't get it, because that will really suck for everybody. Because at least I can get the things that need to be done. I don't know. We'll see. What are you going to do? It's just, I was struggling a lot as it was and just wanted everyone to be together. But there's other plans, so let's talk about the documentary Natalia Grace. And I watched the 2nd, 3rd, and I think got through to the 4th. I didn't get to finish it. It's so odd how it twists and turns, and they find her biological mother, but why don't they know exactly how old she is? So I'm going to take you from where we ended last night, right? So last night I told you that they had the brother Jacob speaking. Now the father and the mother, Kristen, not being in the documentary. I mean, there were like pictures of her in some video, but I mean, she wasn't taking an active role. So the second episode, they talk more about, I think it's the second episode. Well, I'm just going to go through it. So what happens is there's a lawyer that tells them, you know, why don't you get her age changed? And they talk to a doctor, and this doctor says, I think it was a police officer that told them first about getting her age changed. So they go to a doctor, and doctor says, well, she hasn't grown since, you know, I think it was 2 years at the time, or 4 years. So with that, then you know she's got to be, you know, at her full height, which would mean she's 18. And if she's 18, then they add 4 years, and they made her 22, and they gave her a birth date of 1989 instead of 2003. So 1989 and adopting her in 2010 puts her at 21 instead of 6 when they adopted her. Okay. But they did this. And then they rented her an apartment. And they rented her apartment. They were 1-story apartments. They say they were like in such a great area of town. It didn't look like that, but okay. The apartment looked pretty run down. But anyway, she lived in an apartment, and they started to interview the neighbors there. And so there's one woman, older woman with a cane and stuff, and she said she saw the mother, Kristen, putting all of Natalia's things on the sidewalk. Now there's a sidewalk right in front of her doorway, and she said the mother was there in a Cadillac, and Natalia was gathering up the things, and you know, this neighbor thought she was a little girl at first, but then she said, okay, then she turned around, she said, I'm actually 22 years old, and okay. So bring the bags inside. This older woman helps Natalia bring these bags inside. And she said that, you know, the mother sat in the Cadillac the whole time, didn't say thank you, didn't say anything, and then just drove away once they got everything inside. And so I just want to make sure that you are hearing all of this, because I don't know where the line is. Let me see. Hang on. Hang on. Let me see here. Somehow I'm not in the live stream, and I want to make sure before I go on and on and on and on and on that you have sound. Okay, let me see. Okay, there you go. Let's see. All right, so they set her up in this apartment, and the neighbors all start talking. So the one neighbor says, you know, at first, you know, I was helping her out. She seemed, you know, you could tell she was an adult. There were these neighbors across the street who got on there, and they lived in a house. And they said at first, the husband said, you know, he was okay with her coming over, and that's at first. And the wife, you know, too, kind of wanted to help her out, didn't think that she had the proper education or, about how to take care of herself. Because there were several issues that, how does your mother not notice it or whatever, because they were saying like she would wear the same clothes for days and before she took them off. In fact, the neighbor across the street, the husband said, I kept thinking like, well, gosh, is she able to physically remove her clothing? Like, does she have to wait for someone to come by and help her? Is that why she's wearing the same clothing for several days? And does she know how to wash her clothing and all of that? And can she adequately know how to use the shower? All of that. So they didn't know whether it was that or something else. And then there was another neighbor that he was a mechanic, and he said his grandkids would play in the yard. And one day she came walking up, and they came out, and they thought it was a child at first, but then, she is very small, so she was riding like one of those battery-powered motorcycles with the grandson, and he said, she was interacting the way a child would, like really into it, really, what's the matter, Scooter? What? Just before my oldest came home with 2 liters of Coke. Oh, well, they say Coke is a good cleaner, so maybe it'll help clean the floor. Have him mop it up. Okay, so anyway. Then they noticed a body odor about her. You guys, like, how can I say this nice? She had a really funky body odor. And then she became somebody that they started to dread. Like, all the neighbors started dreading her. At first they were helping her. One lady bought her a box of donuts. They said the mother hardly ever came. And then they show you some recordings, like where the father was recording him going to the house and being like, because there was a CPS call. Now, I know CPS when she's 22 years old, right? But CPS came, and then the family got a call, and he went out there, and he's like, what did you talk to her about? What are you guys trying to do? It's not going to work, because she called us, and this is not going to work, Natalia. And he erased all the contacts from her phone. He said, where did you get these donuts in here? And she was like, finally tells him that the lady brought them over. And he's like, oh, the lady brought them over? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, well, and he starts to erase all of her contacts. Anyway, then she starts talking inappropriately with men in the building. In fact, they're like older men doing their laundry. They're in the laundry room of the apartment building, and she's propositioning them. And they said, she was spending time with some of the men around there. Other men were feeling really uncomfortable. And then there was a situation where there was a boy, and he was rolling down a hill, how you roll around, some kids roll around. She started to do that, and then they thought they saw something inappropriate, and one of the neighbors screamed out, like, Natalia, what are you doing? And then the kid's father came and screamed at her and was like, don't ever do anything like that with my son ever again, or, Anyway, so by the time it's a year and her lease is up in this apartment, the management does not want to renew the lease. They don't want her to live there. She's causing too many issues. And everybody was really happy that she moved away. Now, next, Kristen goes to find her an apartment in a town called Lafayette. Now, they knew the town Lafayette. But Lafayette apparently has some really bad areas. There's areas that, well, have a lot of crime. It's not safe, really, for Natalia. And for somebody with the handicap she has, an apartment was rented for her that had this huge flight of stairs, plus stairs to get from the sidewalk, just even up onto the house. So, crazy, right? Why would they rent that for her? And this one woman lived across the street. She said Natalia came running over to her house, and she was like, I don't know how to get hold of my parents. I don't have food. I'm 22 years old, or however old she said she was in. And this woman had like 5 kids, and I think they were foster kids. Because she said, if I adopt him, he'll be my 6th. And then she said like 9 cats, 2 dogs. Yeah. And she just said that she felt really badly for Natalia. In fact, she said, if you're watching this, it's not that I didn't do more than the kid said, I want a sandwich. Okay, so after that point, she was going around, and this woman that I told you that kind of is looking out for her said, I wouldn't allow my own kids to walk around this area. It is not safe. And she is not able to take care of herself. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys. Yeah. Oh, I forgot a good part. Back before they got her the apartment, things were going like badly at home, and they decided that they hadn't really celebrated their youngest son's, I think it was the youngest son's birthday. He really liked cows. Oh, you've been there once, Lafayette? Is it a bad area? He really liked cows, and so they were going to this dairy where you could milk a cow, and there were consent sheets about an electric fence, and that, it's dangerous, you've got to sign all this. And the father's saying that, Father Michael's like, oh, she just grabbed that sheet, and she's like, oh, electric fence, it could kill you? Okay, signing on the line. And then as they were walking, he was going ahead with the 3 boys, and the wife, Kristen, was back with Natalia. And he turned around, and he sees like Natalia's sitting on the ground and she can't walk anymore. And Kristen says to Michael, you just go on ahead. I'm not going to let her ruin this. We'll be fine. Go on ahead with the boys. And then he's like, are you sure? And she's like, yes. And then he said, when I heard the sirens, well, apparently what Kristen said was that Natalia was having a fit, and she started to like pull the mother to the electric fence. Kristen starts screaming. She wants the police called. She wants this child arrested. She tried to kill me. She tried to kill me. Well, later on, they interviewed the people at the dairy, and they actually said it really wasn't Natalia. It was the mother who was acting nuts. And the thing is, the electric fence was turned off, and so there was absolutely no danger anyway in the electric fence that day. Okay. So now when you're looking at this, you're like, oh gosh, like, is it this woman? Is this all her? And they show just that, like, she kind of wants Natalia arrested, and at one time they had her in that psychiatric unit, but remember they made them take her home after a while. Now they're saying that they were told she is a sociopath, and that there's nothing you can do. You can't fix this. Take her home. Bye-bye. So they got that apartment, and then, okay, as the year's coming up, they're not going to renew the lease. They get this other apartment. She meets this other lady, but then she starts going around And she goes to this, it was some kind of a center or whatever it was. Well, she meets this other woman. And within literally 4 days, she has moved in with this other family. Now, Kristen gets wind of this and is like, what's going on? You know, you can't do this. And she finds out that they're using the food stamp card, and they're also using, they're circumventing her Social Security checks, which had been going to Michael. They are now being routed to this family. Now, before that, let's go back a little bit more. Kristen had been wanting to find out where Natalia came from. And a lot of the issues, a lot of the problems happened because of this. And Michael said that she would punish Natalia and make her stand with her nose into a wall and just stand there 8, 10, 12 hours, okay? Because she would not sit down and write all the people's names who she was with. Well, they eventually call the adoption agency, and the adoption agency says, hey, we can't give that out, but if you please go look very carefully in her backpack, you might find something. So she looks in her backpack and she gets the name of the family who had Natalia. Now, here's this thing, okay? So this family that had Natalia, they quickly found they couldn't deal with Natalia. So they went to the Little People, let me see, is it the Little, it's a Little People convention. And they went there and they started to approach couples there and asking them if they would like to adopt Natalia. Now there was two couples, but one, you only saw the woman. She had the face of Michelle Duggar, but she was a little person, very nice. And then there was a couple, okay, the other woman had a husband too, but he just didn't show up in the interviews. Anyway, so when they're interviewing the first couple, right, they say that they met with Natalia, but something seemed off, and it just seemed the woman that had her, just something seemed off, and her husband, you know, this is not right, blah, 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 blah. So then that woman contacts this other couple. Now, this other couple goes all the way to, I believe it was New Hampshire, from their house in Texas. And they said it was like going to Camp Crystal Lake. And it was like this gravelly, steep driveway. She was saying, you know, how could Natalia even navigate that? But they didn't think there was anything like wrong with her age when they met her. And they were playing with her. The woman really liked her, but the husband was spotting something off. And he said, you know, I know my wife is going to be crushed, but look, we can't do it. We cannot adopt this child. So when the wife called back, you know, the first adoptive mother, she said that her whole, you know, her reaction, she started screaming. Okay, she just started screaming. So they're like, okay, something's not right with this. And then after, I guess, that's when Michael and Kristen got Natalia. And then they fast forward and they go to the Ukraine and they start finding these twins. And it's Anna Salvo is Natalia's mother, her birth mother. And that's confirmed with, hold on, I'm trying to see, with a DNA test. And over here. And then the mother says something about like 17 years ago. So let me see here. Maybe that's not her name. It's Anna, isn't it? So meanwhile, then it starts to really get crazy because the father starts saying that he was totally abused by Kristen. She abused everybody in the house. She beat Natalia. And then he proceeds to get down on the floor and he goes, it's like this. And he is literally taking his fist and bringing it behind his head and wailing it down on the floor, bringing it back, wailing it down on the floor. And he said, that's what she was doing. It wasn't an open hand. It wasn't anything. It was a fist. It was elbows. She was beating the crap out of her. And he's like, I'm surprised her bones weren't broken, this and that. And okay, so you have that. Then the son starts to say really bizarre things. And then he gets caught on a hot mic. And so he's saying, like, well, I called my mother because I have some issues about some trauma and some stuff that was done. And I tried to explain it to her and tried to talk to her. But, you know, and he's having a really hard time. And he's like, I just need a minute. And then when he goes upstairs, he tells his father that he needed a break. But then he starts saying something about her kicking or, you know, Natalia down the stairs, and I didn't say this and I didn't say that. Then he goes downstairs again. He realizes he had the mic on, and he starts to talk, and he starts to say that Natalia would, you know, defecate or urinate on surfaces she shouldn't. So he said his mother told him the way that a therapist told her that she had to stop this was that he should go do that and urinate on her bed in her bedding. At 12 years old he was. And his mother, you know, directed him to do this. So those are some of the issues that he was having with the mother now. And, you know, like, why would you tell me to do this? And then the father's like, you see, we were all abused. She manipulated the entire family. And so, yeah, it was very... very odd there. And then, like, at times you were like, oh, wait a minute, you're feeling sorry for her. Then you're like, wait a minute, she's manipulating everybody. They're all like, you don't know what is going on. So meanwhile, then they show you her like at a therapist, and they asked her at first if she was like physically abused by the Barnetts, and she's like, no. And then later on she says she was, and that Kristen had everybody, you know, like directed the boys to beat her too, and she directed Michael to beat her as well. So now you're like, okay, who is telling the truth? What's going on? And but, you know, when then you have that judge that's there, Karis, and she's saying, like, what is going on here? You know, this whole thing is so crazy. So then they show you the time when you see the mugshots there, that they're arrested for neglect, and that was after she was found in those apartments. Okay, and then it gets even crazier, okay? Because they had moved to Canada to support the oldest son's schooling. And he got accepted to a school over there for his master's at a very young age, right? But they start to really have issues in the marriage. And he said, you know, the marriage wasn't good, that Kristen was very manipulative, But she's not tech savvy. So as he was either finding out about her phone or whatever, the police downloaded it, asked him to look at things, he finds text messages of her sending photos to people. She was even contacting a little person that it started out was her speaking about her daughter, Natalia Grace, to then sexting with this little person guy. Yeah. And other people on the internet, okay? While being married to Michael. So he's finding, that when, like right after the adoption, he finds some handyman that she's doing this with, but then he says that she was denying him sex, so he turns towards P, right? And then she pulls that out and starts bashing him for that. So they start to show some text messages between the two of them, and it's at times like she's promising certain things when she wants something, like, okay, here, we'll do this, you plead no contest, you give me custody, you do, okay. So it was very manipulative. Then he finds another girlfriend after that, okay, and it's nuts. And I still have, I think, 2 episodes to watch, but that's where I am. And I just want to see why with the birth mother can they not find, hold on a minute. Let me see here. Okay, so let me see. Her official birthday was okay. Her birth mother from the Ukraine has come forward to end the rumors and the confusion and stated Natalia is a child. She talked about everything going on with Natalia and said that she last saw her when she was a baby. She gave the birth certificate, and the documents from the adoption center prove that her daughter is still a child. Natalia is now 16 or 30, depending on which side the case turns. She's living with a different foster family right now, and her mother wishes she would come back to her home country once she turns 18 so the family can reunite. She provided more information on the family and said Natalia has 2 sisters and her oldest sister is now pregnant. Okay. Who watched this? Who made it through? Video reel, I know you did. What do you mean, why can't you see me, Carolyn? What are you talking about, Sassy? Why is Sassy saying no? What does that mean? What's going on? Her side is supposed to be on in January. Mountain Mama, are you talking about Kristen's side? The mother's side? You're baking more cookies? What kind of cookies are you baking? Hi, Annie B. Mountain Mama, are you talking about Kristen's side? But I think that January, the thing on ID is what we're watching right now. That's already playing on HBO. Is that what you're talking about? Natalia's side. Right. But are you talking about the ID? Because that's what's on HBO right now. She does give a bit of her side, like through the psychologists and everybody there. Oh, we were watching. I had it playing again today, Bucky. But that was before you came in. So it's very. It's so strange. It's so strange. Just that. With the sun chiming in about the abuse in the house, you do get. Oh, you could have watched it in the Zoom with us, the Captain Lee fan. You could have watched it in the Zoom. But you do get the impression that, she's abusive to her. Oh, and the other person she was having the affair with, oh yeah. Remember that daycare she had? It was one of the dads there she was carrying on with. One of the dads as well. Kristen. And it says a 3-part on... Oh, really? Okay, another one? Interesting. Okay. Let me look that up, okay? Because I know that ID is dropping something else too. Let me see. Let me see here. Natalia Grace. Netflix. January. Okay, Natalia, The Curious Case of Natalia Grace, Natalia Speaks. ID's latest documentary series, Natalia Speaks, is an extension of The Curious Case of Natalia Grace, which premiered in May of, they're saying 2020, I thought it was 2020. In the upcoming installment, Natalia Grace, the Ukrainian orphan accused of trying to kill her adoptive parents. Oh, that was other stuff. She called the police on herself and said, I'm stalking my neighbors and I need help to stop. And she told these other neighbors that she tried to kill her parents and she had knives. And so she said this stuff. She did say it, okay? She did say it. But, did she was she coached? Because the father was saying she was coached in court. He thought, according to himself, by his ex-wife, Anyway, picking up where the shocking finale left off, Natalia dives headfirst into the questions, controversies, and secrets that are unearthed in the first installment. But this time, Natalia shares her side of the story. So that's going to premiere January 1st. Interesting. That's on ID Discovery, though. But that's not Netflix. So Natalia Grace is going to confront her adoptive father and tells her side of the story, and Natalia speaks. That's why it showed up for me. Because all of a sudden it just showed up for me. I don't know what possessed me to go watch this, but now it's like it's so weird that I did. It must have really been pushed out there because now it's like there's new stuff coming out on it, right? Okay. Apparently in this, Natalia Grace is going to dramatically confront her former adoptive father, Michael Barnett, tell her side of the story. She says, and I quote, "In every lie is a hidden truth, but you've got to dig enough to be able to see it." She says that Michael and Kristen Barnett, they're not going to get away with this. This is my side of the story. Do I look like a monster to you? Let's see. She also says, and I quote, "It's very frustrating to hear everything that's being said from Kristen and Michael because I already know who I am." She alleged she has wanted to learn more about herself and also about what happened to her. And I quote her saying, "But I'm hearing all this stuff that never actually happened from Kristen and Michael." Now, I will say, Michael comes across a little peculiar. Let me say peculiar. I have reservations on, like, if this stuff is true. Like, it's crazy, I think. It really is. I don't think he's being completely truthful at all. He doesn't see the other children, he said, and then he contacted and Jacob, and he came back, and I don't know why he's staying in the basement because the father looks like he has upstairs bedrooms. Let me see. So let me see about, there's ID discovery, but Natalia's going to speak on that, so that sounds interesting, right? It's hard for me to zoom while at the nursing home. Okay, Captain Leafan. Carolyn did say ID. Right. And I believe probably HBO will also have it. I don't know. I don't know. Why was Sassy screaming? No! I've been sleeping at night, so watching most... Oh, okay, Captain Lee. So, yeah, I mean, it's quite a peculiar case. I'd like to talk to some of you that have watched it and see what you're saying about it. It is quite bizarre, some of the stuff that goes on. It's quite bizarre to think, well, how old was she when she was left alone in an apartment? Somebody's saying like she could have burned the place down, and then she was put in that house, and just I don't know, just kind of scary stuff going on. I'm sorry, Captain Lee fan. Yeah. I just, wow. I don't know. You know what I thought we'd do? I thought we'd play word cookies. And then I thought I'd do, maybe an encore of something. We'll see. Let's see. Let's do the word cookies. Sorry, I'm just a little, I don't know. A little tired, a little out of it. A little upset. And I'm going to do the word cookies. I was going to bake, and I'll come on during the day tomorrow, hopefully. I've got so much to do. Got to do Luke's birthday cake, and I just can't do more than I can right now. Oh, hi, snow remover. I hope that your treatment is going well. I'm sorry that you're feeling that way. I hope you get your energy back. No, I don't think she was 33. I really don't. I don't think she was that old. I don't. Okay, let's see. Okay, let me see here. Retie now. Requite? Okay. Actually, retire. Retire tomorrow. Oh, we can't. Prayer snow remover. Let me see. require. Okay. You Terry? Very good, Marco. There's always tomorrow. I thought so, Annie B. Yep, I thought so. There it is. Okay. There is only one. Perfect. Perfect words. Oh my goodness, I am so tired. I don't know what this is doing. Come on, what are you doing? Maybe that's my cue that I have to go to bed. Maybe that's my clue. What do you think? 4 more sheets of cookies to go. What kind of cookies are you making? I'll try to come on like 6 times tomorrow to make up. I'll come on 6 different times tomorrow. I'll do a coffee time, I'll do a paint time, I'll do a bake time for this time. I'm just so tired, I just want to go to bed. Alright. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm just not feeling it tonight. Alright. Everybody be good. I love you guys. God bless. Prayers. See you tomorrow.